We do three things. We spend a lot of time trying to find interesting projects that we might want to invest in, we might want to help. And that's a big dating game, and it involves spending a lot of time at universities for people like me that like to invest in technical projects, and spending time with entrepreneurs. We spend a fair bit of time evaluating these potential opportunities, figure out what it is that we are going to invest in, what it is that we don't want to invest in, and then finally, when we do invest in something, we put a heck of a lot of effort into trying to build it into a company. There's a range of places one can get money, and there's a range of types of money one could raise, and it ranges all the way on one side from National Science Foundation or its equivalents, and there's a lot of equivalents, to folks like angel investors who tend to maybe have a lower bar than our professional investors, so they may fall in love in something, but write smaller checks and won't be able to take a company all the way through venture capitalists, folks like me that tend to have larger funds that have capability to invest, tens of millions of dollars into a single company over its lifetime, and spend a lot more time thinking about how to grow it and how to turn it into a business. There's several things. The first one is who and is anyone committed full time? I've met a lot with professors who have a great idea and they want it to happen, but they don't want to do it. And startups don't work without a team. It's not something that you can just give to someone else and say, you guys go run with it. The most successful companies that come out of research centers, some of the researchers often it's in a university, it's postdocs or grad students. So that's one thing. Another thing is how far advanced is the technology? Researchers research, and you don't get to sell research, you get to sell products. So a lot of what the judgment that we have to make is try to figure out how much work still needs to be done in order for something to be a product. And then the third big question usually for me is how big is the market? There's a lot of things that are very, very interesting. Not all markets are big, not all inventions are equally useful, and if you're going to take the kind of risk, particularly in a physics-based thing that tends to have a lot of technical risk in it, that risk only makes sense if the upside is commensurate. So we need to make sure that that's the case. Scientists are brilliant folks. They tend to be very creative. The really good ones are very good at thinking outside the box. And the really good ones are really good at thinking outside the box, not just about their topic, but about the business and about the whole thing that they might do. The frustration tends to be, I don't know if I want to use the term frustration, but a more difficult thing tends to be is the folks that I've worked with have a tendency to be quite over-optimistic in terms of schedules, in terms of what it actually takes to build a real product. They generally haven't built a product. The process of taking something from a really good discovery to a product is a little bit boring. It's very iterative, it's very banal, there's a lot of things that they don't enjoy, and then really, really smart people get a little bit bored with. As a result, they might underestimate its difficulty, its length, and potentially its value, and the value of the people that need to be involved in that. A lot of startup companies end up hitting the valley of death, what we call the valley of death. And that is a situation where you've gotten off the ground, you've built a team, and the results are not yet there in order for you to be commercial. In physics-based startups, that happens very, very frequently because physics is hard and commercializing physics can take a long time. The reason there's a death at the end of valley of death is that if at that point often you need to go raise more money, and if your results aren't there, that can be quite difficult. If your market is exciting and you've got good backers and you're able to convince everybody that you can raise that money, but there are a lot of dead bones and skeletons at the end of that valley. There's certainly a lot of opportunities materials, and then the other path has been a lot of materials. Research has made its way into the world through medical devices, where a lot of new medical devices are enabled because of a certain new type of surface or new type of flexibility or whatever it is that might make it. The reason materials has become a little bit more interesting of late is because it's more modelable than it used to be in the past. In the past, materials research involved taking frogs' tongues and lizards' eyes and mixing them in a cauldron at midnight and seeing what happens. Now, and every now and then something would happen. Now, in a situation where you can model something, you can or a good researcher can know what they're looking for and be able to tailor a material with those properties.